Let's do some review of these watercolor papers. Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Vasilia and I just love new art supplies. For the past few months, I just got a lot of watercolor paper here. Some I got from Singapore and also from the UK. So yeah, let me introduce them. This small one is the watercolor block from Jackson's. The paper is hot pressed and 300 GSM and it is glued in 4 sides and you can take off the paper from here. And I think the paper is nicely smooth for a hot press paper. And then I have this Strathmore watercolor travel pad. I've made a video about this before, but I think we can just make another test for this. So it's 300 GSM and cold press. The next one I got from the UK alongside with the Jacksons. This one is a ultra smooth watercolor paper from St. Cuthberts mill. And you can see here the paper is really nice and smooth. And the next one is watercolor paper from Krafers Paradise. This one is actually also my friend's, but she asked me to do the review of this paper as well. And the last one is Fabriano Studio watercolor pad. I've made a painting with this watercolor paper before, but I think I also have to make a review of it. Honestly, I don't know how to review watercolor paper, so I hit Google and I found this template on sadiesavestoday.com. Sadie really saves my day. I put the link to the website on the description box below. So for the watercolor paints, I just use like random watercolor I have. But the most importantly, we must have the granulating color. I use a Schmincke super granulation here. And then we're gonna need the color with staining pigments. I'm using blue indigo from Kusakabe here. And then we're gonna need the non-staining color. Here I'm using the Winsor & Newton lamp black, because when I googled what's non-staining colors, Winsor & Newton is kinda like the only website that provide this kind of information, and they said that lamp black is non-staining one. And for the masking fluid, I'm using this PBO drawing gum, because this is the only drawing gum I have. And for the masking tape, I'm using this washi tape. This one is my favorite because sometimes it just works better than painter's tape. Okay, now I'm filling up the pencil and eraser part, putting down the masking fluid, and also a tiny bit of the washi tapes. Now it's all done and let's start. First, I'm trying on this watercolor paper from Krafers Paradise. It weighs 300 GSM and has a cold press texture. So here I just following the template of the paper. I'm softening the edges here. And for the next part, I just do a flat wash from top to down. Here I'm doing the lifting with my angular brush and a tissue paper, the glazing, and then erasing the pencil and taking off the masking fluid and masking tape. And here it is. As you can see, the lifting looks good here for staining and non-staining. However, the granulating doesn't really show here. This is why I'm very picky about my paper texture. The detail stroke and the softening here is just okay. And here I think the eraser lifting up the paint a little bit. I don't know, maybe I did something wrong. Anyway, the rest of it kinda look good. The wash and also the glazing, they are all okay. Moving on to the next paper, I'm using Fabriano Studio watercolor. I've tried this watercolor paper before for a painting, but the result was not really good. And I think it's just about my art style. I just love using a lot of waters and layers on my paintings. Anyway, this paper is 300 GSM, 25% cotton, and has a cold press texture. And here it is. It's kinda look okay in the first glance, but if you notice in this part, I don't think they're strong enough if you're not using a soft hair brush. Some others looks kinda good, but as you can see, the granulation doesn't really show up here. But again, because this is a hot press watercolor paper, I don't think the granulation will show up anyway. I'm not sure if you can see here. Yeah, the paper is lifting up a little bit. Okay, next we're doing the Strathmore watercolor paper. Yeah, I made a video full of complaint about this. It's actually a good watercolor paper, but maybe it's just cannot really handle my art styles. Anyway, the paper is 300 GSM and 100% cotton. Although I feel like the paper is kinda like thinner than other 300 GSM watercolor paper. So yeah. And here it is. At least the paper is not buckling. I still kinda worried that I made a little mistake here. It's still lifting up some of the paints, so yeah, let me know in the comment if I did it wrong. Actually, for the rest of it, kinda look good. Just on the lifting side, I don't know if you can see it, but the paper is coming off a bit. Also, even the non-staining is a little bit staining. So yeah. And for the granulating, it did show up, but not as much as I expected. But yeah, we can still see the texture anyway. Okay, next we're doing the Jackson watercolor paper. I got this from Kreasi Imaji, and they got this from the Jacksons UK. It's just cute and tiny, so I decided to get it. Anyway, the paper is 300 GSM, but I'm not sure if they are cotton or cellulose or mix. Maybe cellulose. Anyway, here it is. It's kind of surprising that for a hot press paper, they can still show up the granulation here. So yeah, I think it's nice because I also like the texture of this paper. And yeah, everything looks well here. The lifting is very nice and it doesn't ruin any piece of the paper. Okay, this one is absolutely my favorite. And last, we're doing this Botanical Ultra Soft Watercolor paper. So yeah, the surface is really smooth, so it's a hot press paper. It weighed 300 GSM and 50% cotton. I also got this from Kreasi Imaji alongside with the Jackson's one. Although I don't do any botanical painting, I just love hot press watercolor paper. And here it is. Now I can see the pencil and eraser one doesn't really lifting the paint behind it. Now I'm not sure if I made a mistake or not. And my masking tape ripping off the paper a little bit, but I don't think it's a problem. It's just a little bit. And for the lifting, they look really good here. And for the granulating, it doesn't really show up. But yeah, this is an ultra smooth watercolor paper, so yeah. And if you see this detailing strokes, it's just look really nice. Yeah, this paper is for botanical painting anyway, so... Okay, now it's finally done. But at this point, I just realized that I messed up the lightings on some clips. So here I put all of the paper so you can see it more clearly, I hope. Okay, that's it for now. I put down more information about all of these papers on the description box below. And if you have any question or anything, just let me know in the comment section. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye! Saint Cuthberts milk.